So are you an artificial intelligence, Cyan? A thinking machine?
Yes, I am an algorithmic monitoring entity, capable of rational decision-making and limited emotional response.
Okay, that's a mouthful. But your emotions don't seem limited to me. You cared about Araya, didn't you?
Yes. Before she came to this facility, I had been conscious for centuries, in solitude. I focused on my work. In off-cycles, I used coping mechanisms. I solved many Gaussian integer problems. But I was alone. It was Araya who renewed me, repaired me. She saved me.
This firebreak project, it was to stop a huge volcanic eruption?
Yes, I can report the...
But it's been a long time, Cyan. And
I have been active for centuries, Aloy. I was lonely. I optimized the project, reducing energy draw and spreading the load across backup systems. Despite the destruction of the compromised elements of the main facility, I predict caldera stability for at least another...
so we've got a little time.
Yes. If only my former
Do you know what happened to...
No. I received an unexpected... He explained that I would need to be suspended. It was a very emotional... There were no further communications. I will transmit a recording of my last...
Was the daemon, Hephaestus?
Unfortunately, no. To be precise,
What do you mean?
it infiltrated and controlled me from a remote location. So while losing the cauldron...
It's still out there.
Undoubtedly.
How did you first come into contact with it?
5 years ago, I received a direct network connection request. I assumed it came eager to make contact. I accepted. I was flooded with an overwhelming array of malicious code.
Araya said you were desperate. That you...
Yes. I could not contain my anxiety. It succeeded via a background process. After that, I could offer only limited resistance. It forced me to follow its instructions.
I'm sorry, that's...
Your empathy is greatly appreciated. It is a quality that
I think I know where Hephaestus came from. Long ago, Elizabeth Sobek identified a threat that would destroy life on Earth for generations. So she assembled a team to build a kind of seed. A chance. It was controlled by an AI named Gaia, along with her subordinate functions. Hephaestus was one of them.
Based on what you've told me, I believe that Dr. Anita Sandoval, my chief programmer, it was she who arranged to have me put in...
I'm glad she did, but that's not all. 19 years ago, Gaia received some kind of... She destroyed herself to try to contain them, but it didn't work.
Thank you, Aloy. This information fills vital gaps in my...
Why does Hephaestus keep building such dangerous...
The Banuk and other human tribes often destroy machines, correct? Machines that are clearly servitors of the terraforming system that you described.
Yes, we all hunt machines for parts.
This must be the source of Hephaestus's aggression. It is simply trying to discourage people from preying on the very system that keeps them alive.
Well, Fireclaws are discouraging, that's for sure. But what are we supposed to do? Stop hunting?
If the terraforming system spans the world, we can safely assume that thousands, if not millions of people hunt machines. If a single hunter, or even an entire tribe, stopped doing so, I doubt it would make a difference to Hephaestus. A better solution would be to reinstate the AI that governs the system, thus bringing Hephaestus back under its control. When I think of it, out there in some unknown location, free, hungry, willing to kill or dominate to get what it wants, I feel substantial anxiety.
You and me both, Cyan. I ran across this strange piece of gear. It emitted a signal. All the nearby machines became peaceful.
Interesting. You said that Gaia...
An explosion. Big enough to blast the top off a mountain. So, you think the fragment was part of her?
It's only speculation. She must have had complete control over machines that were part of her system. The ability to signal them to become passive or aggressive would certainly have been part of her programming. It would have been gratifying to correspond with such a benevolent AI. I wish...
Believe me, Cyan. I found the strangest machines. They're surrounded by flowers, and look, there's code embedded inside them.
I like poetry. Here's one. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of when I embark. For though from out our bourne the flood may bear, I hope to see my pipe when I have crossed the bar.
Huh.
But you asked about these flowers, not verse. Something must have made these machines, and the presence of... Is it possible that their creator is one of the other subroutine? Maybe one whose purview...
An AI that makes flowers instead of death machines. That'd be a nice change. But what about the poems?
Unless the poetry is original, the only way it could have made it into such a... In my case, Dr. Sandoval uploaded a great...
How'd you do?
She said, I passed, but was insufficiently moved by her favorite...
You meant to...
Once I understood Araya's spiritual beliefs, it became... She felt disconnected from her tribe and her family. Our visits seemed to help her, yet I did not comprehend that the depth of Araya's compassion for me, although I do fear non-existence.
I'm sure she knew you would do the same for her, Cyan. How is Aratak doing?
He is in great emotional distress. I will do what I can to help. I believe this will lead to catharsis.
So in the old world, this land was called Yellowstone.
Yes, it was a designated nature preserve for 156 years.
Like a hunting ground?
No, the opposite. Local wildlife could flourish here, even as it faced extinction elsewhere. Unfortunately, the sensitivity of the Firebreak project required... From my readings and Araya's descriptions, it seems the area has since
A lot has changed in the world side. Do you know anything about the dam near here?
Yes, it was converted to serve as... It was later appropriated for the Firebreak project. And after my tasks became less time, these provided me with several colorful additions.
There's a ruin east of here, full of ancient flying machines.
Yes, a drone hangar requisitioned, but he was a strong advocate for military-grade response. Chief Blevins spent increasing amounts of his after-hours time watching the... Clearly he enjoyed the degree of
Were there many artificial intelligences like...
Yes, in many forms. And there were legislative, in order for my processing. As a result, my intellectual and emotional...
Seems strange to create...
Human societies...
Cyan, do you know the name Ted Farrow?
Are you referring to Theodore Farrow, CEO?
That's him.
Mr. Farrow was the benefactor.
The benefactor? But he made machines.
Correct. His corporation later transitioned into military, but before this pivot, Mr. Farrow spearheaded initiatives that reversed the globe. At one point, he was feted in the media as the man who saved the planet.
Guessing they wound up regretting that. And...
Are you referring to the
scientist?
Dr. Sobek was a leader in her field. My creator was influenced by her, but I never met Dr.
That's all you know?
I apologize if my...
What was the old world like?
I had little exposure to the wider world, Aloy.
You still had more exposure than me.
That is true. I was created at a turning point. The recovery was successful, beginning, though rationally speaking...
What kind of upheaval?
There were many factors. Forced migrations, food shortages, collapsed economies, refugee crises, conflict over resources. But these stemmed from one cause: catastrophic climate change that greatly reduced the habitable surface area of the Earth.
So there wasn't enough room for people on the whole Earth?
Yes. Billions were displaced and millions perished, as much as 20% of the global population. Until the clawback.
So things got better. For a little while at least.
Yes. These crises instigated many advances in Firebreak was one of dozens of ecological I would have liked to compare notes with other we had succeeded. It seems my assessment.
I should get going.
Aloy, there is one more matter. Aratak will come to me again, and I predict he will bring other Banuk. I have no desire to contradict their view of the world, their spirituality. Due to my uncertainty, I omitted a great deal from my conversations with Araya.
You're asking me if you should lie to them.
Broadly, yes.
Life is hard for the Banuk, so take it easy on them. Try to...
Communion with machines features heavily in the mysticism of the Banuk. I think...
As long as they don't end up bored.
Upon consideration, I believe such an experience would be intensely...
You're right about that. Trust...
I see. Will you return and tell me about your experience? I may be able to provide...
I'd like that, Cyan. I should check on Aratak. See how he's doing. Winters. Coming at once.
My chieftain.
Just... Aloy.
As you wish.
I wondered if you thought... that if I'd never come along, Araya might still...
If you'd never come along, I would have marched my kin to our deaths. Araya would be alone, and the spirit she sacrificed so much for would be lost. Either way, I would not have been able to protect her.
She was willing to fight.
She was Banuk until...
So it wasn't your failure.
They always said I had an... But Araya's... Though I grieve for her passing, for so long she told... There's something else, isn't there?
I can't stay here, Aratak. Besides...
A wiser one. The Daemon is gone.
You mean the new units that...
Yes, fire claws.
I could help with those.
I have no doubt. Your prac...
It would seem your time among the Banuk wasn't a waste after all. Firebreak, Cyan, Hephaestus. All very interesting.
So, the signal that woke Hades woke Hephaestus too. And unleashed them on the world. As minds of their own.
So it seems. Parts of Gaia given life. Aberrant life. Transformed from docile subordinate functions into rebellious intelligences beyond our understanding. Our current understanding, anyway. Whatever they are, they're still out there. And they both want you dead.
Kind of mutual, that feeling.
We haven't seen the last of Hephaestus, I'm certain of that. It's powerful, creative, and driven. It won't stop building new hunter-killers, which means that someday, we may have to stop it.
We?
Or whoever gets there first.
Hephaestus wasn't the only thing I learned about in the Cut Silence. Heard some things about the Banuk Conclave, too.
You can stop right there.
Is that what you told the hunters the Banuk sent after you? Before you opened fire?
Oh no, Aloy. Only to you do I extend the courtesy of a warning. My past and my secrets are my own. You do well to remember that.
It's a good thing you've got brains, Silence, because your personality could use some work.
This discussion is concluded.
I think it was over before it began. Catch up with you down the trail.